Welcome everybody to Let's Talk Games. This is episode 51. My name is Dan. I've got Jamie and Chunt with me. How are you boys?
We're definitely
Fabulous.
here being human beings.
I exist.
We all do.
I'm a little bit sick this week, but I will push through, so that is fine. I'm here for you guys. Before we talk about what we've been playing and Square Enix and some Jade Raymond news, I got something to say. So my parents are Neville and Kay, and the thing that my dad and Chunt now have in common is that they both have a K. So Chunt, you have a thousand subscribers now. So congratulations.
Yes, that is correct. I was like, what K do I have? This is news to me.
I was just like, where is it?
Yes.
What's happening? Where are we going with this?
I know. I worked on that for about 30 seconds, so I hope it worked.
Thank you. No, I appreciate that. Well done. Yes.
Do you have anything to say?
I'm a big shot now at the table. I got my email from YouTube officially confirming, oh, well done. And now I'll be a normal person again tomorrow.
For people that don't know,
very
you put up your
pleased for you.
Justice League review this week.
Yeah, and it's almost 50,000 views on it.
50K views, yeah. You're doing the good shit.
Yeah, well, some people liked it, obviously. So, I've applied for my monetization. I have to wait for a PIN number in the mail because it's 2021 and we're still doing that till I can verify. So cool, I guess. So it's just business as usual until then. But yeah, I expect just business as usual as more next week. Every time I upload, it's just going to be the same 2 people that watch.
Yeah.
Well, so in the middle of, I think you've watched it 3 times now. In the middle of watching Justice League 3 times, did you have time to play any games at all?
Yes. Basically just Yakuza, Kiwami. That's all I've been doing. I'm pretty close to the end. Man, the gameplay is simple as hell. You can turn your brain off and just fight, and it just does it for you. You don't really have to think about it. I'm playing on easy, by the way, but there are some RPG mechanics in there, but I'm just there for the story. This one's not as batshit insane as Yakuza 0, but it's still engrossing. I don't know why I've sat on this series for so long, and Game Pass came along and opened the doors for me. So it's fantastic. That's all I've been doing.
Jamie?
The enthusiasm in Dan's voice is making me sad.
I'll get there.
Next one. I've played a load of World Snooker Championship this week. That's about it. That's literally the only video game I think I've managed to play. I started Avengers a few weeks back, obviously playing it through on Xbox. I booted it because the XS thing appeared on it. I was like, oh shit, that update must have came out. I'll take a look. It hasn't. So I then saw that the day after that I was having like 100 gigabyte update being applied to the game. So I was like, now it's happening. So yeah, I'll go back to that pretty soon if it's a bit smoother and stuff. I know they've got some announcements that we're probably going to talk about later in this show / program. But yeah, loads of World Snooker Championship because I'm English and snooker is a thing here.
I love snooker. I'm good at snooker.
So is Neil Robertson, who is Australian.
I don't know who that is.
He's one of like the top 10 players in the world, and he's Australian and quite entertaining to watch. But yeah, that's awesome. Literally been the fill of my week. Dan, what about you with your sick dog vibe? Have you played out?
So I played 2K. I was watching a lot of Vikings, as you guys know.
Yeah.
And watching the combat in that show, I was like, I really want to play a game that has kind of that shield and sword type combat. And I was trying to think of one, and to be honest, the best combat I could think of was Ghost of Tsushima, but I was like, no, I want to play something more, a little bit more, say, like medieval type. And I was struggling to think of one that I had, unless I was going back and putting in like a Assassin's Creed, like one of the older Assassin's Creed types, because they're probably closer to it. And I was like, well, if I can't do that, I'll go on the Norse route. So I installed God of War again and Hellblade. And I was like, well, whichever one lets me play first. So God of War came up. So I started playing God of War. Again, it doesn't have the update. So I haven't got to try it in its fancy 60 frames, 4K, whatever. But still so much.
I
It's
thought they'd
still
rolled
so
that
good to
update
play.
out.
Yeah, they have, but because I was downloading it again, it hadn't finished the update before I could go in. So I just went in and started playing before the update had finished. So I was just playing it on vanilla God of War, not God of War. But yeah, so that game is still great, and I'm probably just going to keep playing that through and finish that game again because it's awesome. Anyway,
Nice.
That's quick, good, nice. So one of the bigger things this week was Square Enix, and they had their little presentation to show off some of their upcoming games, which I'll quickly run through here. So we have a new Life is Strange game coming called True Colors. I reckon Jamie's going to be talking about that. Life is Strange, getting remastered for the other series that they've put out. Project Athia got a name Forspoken. Outriders we'll talk about here because some exciting news about that for Jamie and Chunt specifically. Balan Wonderland, didn't even pay attention to that. Marvel's Avengers got the Black Panther trailer announcement and the Hawkeye DLC and the next gen stuff. Tomb Raiders Definitive Survivor Trilogy was announced. Just Cause is coming to mobile, and Space Invaders in AR is a thing apparently. So, Chunt, what is the first thing that stood out to you? I know you went on a little rant on Twitter this morning. Is that what you want to talk about?
The Avengers stuff is the only thing I've got my eye on there, and obviously Outriders coming to Game Pass is that saved me some money, which is I'm always happy about. But the Avengers news, the main thing that really ticked me off was, and that Forsaken thing was, Spider-Man is still delayed, and he's exclusive to PlayStation. So I just have to laugh at this exclusivity crap, because the people that it's exclusive for still can't get it because it keeps getting delayed. It's just, what's the point at this mark of this game's progression? It's like, at what point does anyone still care? Like, people still going to be there to play the game by the time he comes out, in 5 years' time. It's like, that I had a laugh at that this morning. But yeah, that Forsaken game, I don't like timed exclusivity, and it doesn't matter what console it's for. Even when Xbox do it, it's annoying because the traffic it gets is always negative, and it just doesn't make sense to me for third-party exclusivity. It's just dumb. I understand when first party put their money up and pay for all their game and developing it and publishing it, and then whatever, then cool, make it exclusive to your console. But when a third party comes out and is like, all right, here's 2 years of exclusivity to your platform on PlayStation. Cool. I mean, you may as well just go for full exclusive, because 2 years' time, if it's not good, no one's going to care. I don't understand it. I really don't. Like, you'd think if you release it for every console, if you're concerned about it being successful, that you want some financial benefit up front to get it going. I don't know how it all works behind the scenes, but if you're that unsure about your game that you need to rely on some exclusivity to one platform, maybe rethink your game or something. You'd make more money if you went everywhere, like PC, Xbox. If you can squeeze out another version for Switch somehow. I don't know. I just think it's ridiculous. I mean, the game looks awesome and cool. Good on you on PlayStation. No worries, it's all good. But for everybody else, if it was an Xbox, another Xbox timed exclusivity thing, which they've stopped doing, thank fuck, since Xbox One generation. And the last timed exclusivity that was big, kind of like that, was Tomb Raider, and even that was dumb. They're like, oh, we need to fill out our portfolio. We need this kind of a game. So here, throw money, and we'll help you finish that game if you come to us for a year. I hate that. It's just messy. And anyway, that was my main takeaway from the Square Enix news I saw coming through, it was just I laughed at Spider-Man and scoffed at the exclusivity. I'm over it. Yeah.
Jamie, your takeaways or comments?
From the presentation as a whole, I think the only thing, as you rightfully touched on, is I'm keen on Life is Strange. I think it looks like a return to form. Over. Did either of you play the second season?
No.
No, I have it, but I didn't play it.
Yeah, don't.
The angst is real.
I made it about halfway through the first episode and was like, "This isn't Life is Strange," and turned it off. And I was getting some vibes from that trailer that made me think this probably is going to be very Life is Strangey. Cool, happy about it. But other than that, yeah, nothing's a real takeaway. Chunt said the pieces about Avengers. I agree with you. Like, they're not making Spider-Man. They've got other shit to focus on at the minute. They've gone, yeah, we'll give you Spider-Man in a couple of months. But yeah, no further comments from me. What about you, Dan?
Yeah, well, when I saw the Life is Strange True Colors game, I was like, wow, not only does this feel like they fully leaning into all the angst of Life is Strange, but also even the powers, like it's the power of emotion is what we're dealing with here. And like, if there's any series that's going to have the power of emotion, it's going to be a Life is Strange game. I was quite proud of myself, even though nobody remembered that. When Imran Khan announced that Charlie's Angel would be the actress of the Project Athia for Spoken game, and I was like, I bet you it's the chick from the new Charlie's Angels, the one that's not the people that people know,
the one that's not famous,
because she's good. Yeah, the one that's not famous.
I saw you post that in the Discord, like, oh, remember when I said this? I'm like, I've no fucking idea what you're talking about. Sorry, I did not commit that to memory.
I was proud of myself. Outriders coming to Game Pass, I think, is huge. I know, Chunt, you just touched upon it, but that game coming to Xbox day and date, like that is so massive, and that's pretty much guaranteed that I need to make sure I pick that game up so we can all play together, because you guys are going to have it straight away. So
yeah.
Well, you see, Dan, I've got some logic for you here, mate. Like I'm working, bear in mind, in English pounds, so you'll have to convert for me. Outriders is going to cost you what, $80? Yeah.
I have a gift card, so yeah.
True. That throws my entire argument into the void. I was like, for the cost of maybe 3 Outriders, you could probably just get an Xbox with Game Pass. But that was that logic's thrown away if you've got I forgot you had your voucher. But that
I can either get it for $69 off Amazon, or with a $50 gift card, I can get it for what, $30. So
yeah, it's mental, isn't it?
Just means I'll be getting it quicker.
The thing that the crazy thing about them doing that is the fact they didn't do it when pre-orders had already gone live. That's the thing that I was a bit like, this is a new thing. I think Phil Spencer or whoever at Xbox, Greenberg or whoever, who deals partnerships, is that Aaron Greenberg? Is he the head of partnerships for Game Pass?
He's
marketing.
Matt Booty's more head of Xbox.
So him, Phil Spencer, whoever it is, has seen people say that there's been a negative reaction to the Outriders demo, and I can't say I've been looking for it, but I absolutely haven't seen it. I've only seen positivity. But the communities and stuff that I follow are deeply invested in the Destinies, the Anthems, the looter shooters of the world. So everybody's kind of response in those areas has been super positive. So I reckon they've seen that and gone, it'd be a bit of a hammer blow if we could bring this to Game Pass day one, give them a call and find out what it's going to take for us to do that. And they've obviously picked a number out. I know PC players got a bit shitty about it, going, why is it just Game Pass for console? What about, Game Pass on PC? And I understand why they can't do it. Like, you've only got to look at the pre-order numbers on Steam for Outriders. Like, they just can't do it. They've got deals in place with Epic. Like, whereas with Xbox, just on the console, Microsoft they've got a blank checkbook, like we all know. So I'm really, really happy about it. Save me £60. I can't complain.
Totally.
Yeah,
I'm adverse to those kinds of games anyway. As I've said multiple times, is the demo is awesome, but I'm also still hesitant on those types of looter shooters. So if this is like a barrier of entry that's removed for me, I'm totally going to be there. It's huge. I mean, it's like the first third-party game that's day and date, like AAA kind of AAA. Third-party game that's day and date on Xbox Game Pass. It's always been some other kind of first or second-party game release, or I don't think this has happened before, so it's pretty huge. It's been positive on my side. Like, I don't have the same kind of community follows that you have, and I'm only seeing positives as well. I think it's just the salty, like, I don't want to go there, but I think it's just the salty PlayStation people. They don't have this option. They have to pay for $70, however much it is.
And I think that's maybe why, like I said, the PC crowd seems to be a bit irked by it, because you can get Game Pass on PC, whereas they're still paying, £60, $90, whatever the cost is. Everywhere to play it. That's coming soon though as well, right? We've only got 2 weeks until
April 1st.
April 1st. Yeah, but I was also, I was just trying to think about right now, with how bad they were hit by Avengers and the loss that they made off that. I can understand why right now they're taking, like, if Xbox rocks up and says we'll just give you a guaranteed amount of money that you can just have straight away, they're probably like, that's going to help us in this financial year to try and make back some of the money that we didn't get out of Avengers, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, true.
So not that the game wasn't necessarily pre-ordering well, but the fact that it's just like we need to try and make up numbers, and if Xbox can come with a huge amount of money.
I thought that after the Christmas period, though, that Avengers had broke even. After all the Christmas sales and stuff, they said that they've recouped the costs.
Yeah, broke even is one thing, but if they were predicting over an entire fiscal year that we're going to make this amount of money, because they were assuming Avengers by Christmas was actually going to be making a shit ton of profit, they're like, well, we need to make that back somehow.
Yeah.
So this is probably a very good way to do that, is to take Xbox's money and say thank you very much.
Works for me.
It's interesting how Square Enix run, though, how they are, they'll do something like Outriders for Game Pass and be like, here, Xbox, you can have this, and then Project Athia, it's like, here you go, PlayStation, you can have this. Like, they just share the property around, don't they?
I don't think I've ever seen so many games come out of Square. Usually Square are like sticklers for delaying shit and just not getting stuff out the door. Whereas it seems like they've, for the most part, they're pumping them out at the minute, Square Enix.
Well, the one thing they didn't announce, which I'm salty about, is I anticipated they were going to announce the Xbox release for Final Fantasy VII Remake, because April's around the corner, and that's when the exclusivity ends.
I don't think you're getting that until after they've done the PS5 patched version with the extra characters.
I just want an announcement. I don't need a. Here it is,
doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they probably can't say anything until the exclusivity ends. That's probably the thing. So they'll probably, once the exclusivity ends, they'll say, and by the way, on June when the new DLC and whatnot comes out, it'll also be coming to Xbox. Question is, will it come to Game Pass?
I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to it, obviously, but I said a few weeks ago that the PS5 patch and the DLC that's coming out for it had a date on it. And I reckon it's going to be that date. Like, it'll be released around the time that into whatever DLC pack comes out. Integrate, yeah. And that makes sense, right? It's a new bit of content, and let's drop it on another platform. Yeah, I'm wishful thinking. I'm going to will this into existence, motherfucker. I want this game. I don't want to spend $750 on a console to play one game. Look.
The other thing was the Tomb Raider trilogy. How many of the Tomb Raider games have you guys played? Is it
1.5?
2.
1.5.
I stopped
'Cause I
about
just finished the third one.
3 hours into the second one.
I didn't
Yeah.
bother with
So
Shadow.
Yeah. Shadow's actually probably on par with the other ones, to be honest, except for the story. But that's a nice little trilogy for people to get if they want it. Anyway, we'll move along now. So this week it was revealed that Jade Raymond, who was previously at Google Stadia, who's worked for the big boys at Ubisoft and EA, she's left Stadia, obviously. Well, everyone has. And she started up her own independent studio called Haven up in Canada, in Montreal, I think. And she's signed up for their first game is going to be a PlayStation exclusive. And I don't really want to talk about, say, what do we think she's making, because if it's a Sony game, most likely it's a third-person action adventure, probably in a forest somewhere, and then not in a forest, and then back in a forest. So it's pretty obvious what they're going to make. But I wanted to ask you guys, because I thought of this, where when Sony went out and got Kojima after he left Konami, because it was like this quick bidding war basically to get him on. Do you think as a way for them to get exclusives, they go after these type of talents to make them a game and to say, you'll have 3 years, like a year of finding you can use any of our engines and you can start the like pre-production stuff, and then 2 years of development and then the game's out? Because I think people forget when Kojima came about, it was 2016 was basically all of him going around doing all the pre-production stuff, and then there was 2 years, and in 2019 Death Stranding came out. Do you think Sony's going to do this more often as not a way to combat what Microsoft's doing, but clearly they're putting money into everybody's pockets to try and get exclusive, whether it's just what we spoke about, Square Enix stuff with Project Athia, and there was another game in there that I can't remember where they're getting exclusive. So yeah, I was curious as to, do you think this is just, what do you think of the way that Sony are going about it, and do you think it's going to last for very long? Chan, I'll go with you first.
Yeah, it's a cheaper way to do it than pumping hundreds of millions into a studio brand new to build up from scratch. You know, it's easier to go, all right, you're established somewhat, here's some money, make us a game. And they don't have to rely on all the overheads, and they're just essentially contracting them out. Nintendo do it all the time. Like Nintendo have their in-house studios, but they also contract out other studios. You know, like the team that made like Retro Studios, that they did the Metroid games. Like they're not in-house really technically, and they do all the other studios that pump out Nintendo games for them. Like the Mario Party games, I think some of those have been contracted out. It's just a cheaper way to go. Like rather than what Microsoft is doing is acquiring like billions worth of companies across the board because they can, you know. Makes sense. I mean, the Kojima thing, I don't think that worked out as much as they thought it would. Like I think that was Kojima's name, and I think a lot of people had an idea of what his next game would be like and were maybe disappointed. I don't know if the sales kind of reflected what they wanted on that one. So, I mean, they might be cautious in doing that in future with some other notorious creators. But Jade Raymond, I think, like she's got a good head on her shoulders, and she's probably an educated vet. You know, she's been in the industry for a long time and knows her shit. So I'm curious to see what comes out of that. But we're not going to see that for a few years, are we? So cool. No worries. I do wish they would. I understand announcing this kind of stuff because it builds interest in your own platform and what you're doing, but having announcements closer to time would be nice, so we're not just waiting on shit all the time. But I like this kind of thing because they're fronting up the money for this. It's a actual like, legit exclusive. It's not timed, you know. So I'm okay with this, you know. Just in case anyone wants to call me a hypocrite, this is cool. Like this is fine. It's you're putting up the money for a game on your own platform to get people to your thing. Cool. If it's any good, I'll buy a PlayStation for it. Those are my thoughts.
Jamie? I can't even remember the question, by the way.
Sorry. Oh yeah. I mean, in terms of what they're doing with what they're doing with their studios, it's. I don't think, to your original question, is it a counter to what Xbox is doing and trying to, not just compete basically. And it is, and Chunt's right. It makes more sense to go out there and get a name that is capable of building you a solid game. Throw them a bunch of money, say, look, build the talent that you want, get what you want, come in, make us a game. Let's see what you can do. But then I do think there is an element, Dan, exactly, you're right. Is it just going to be another third-person action adventure game that fits perfectly into Sony's kind of shoebox of what they like to make? And is the industry moving in a different direction? I think I'd like to see them take a gamble. I'd like to see them turn around and go, make the most fucked up mad shit you can think about. It doesn't have to be a third-person game. Like, do whatever you want. Make it a first-person dungeon crawler for all anybody cares. Like, try something new. They won't, but it would be nice if they did. In terms of them doing it more going forward, yeah, but they're running out of people to get on board because Xbox is just buying everything. Like, they're just throwing money at absolutely everything. It's like, there's rumors today that apparently they're in conversations with Atlas about bringing all of Atlas's titles to Game Pass, and you know what I mean. If Sony are going to start running out of places to get exclusives from, is what my thinking is, without building the talent internally, which is why I think that's the approach that they're making. There's no question that the next Kojima title will be probably PlayStation exclusive for a year and then come to PC. So the more deals like that they can make, I think the better for them. But I'm more concerned with the quality. Like, just keep making quality stuff. It's all that matters, really, isn't it? I mean, it's all hyperbole just as to how the industry's working, but I think just keep making good shit and people will flock. As Chunt said, make a good game, I'll support it, and I'll play the console. I'll buy it and play it. So proof's in the pudding. I don't think we see anything from what on earth they're working on for 2 years max, minimum. Sorry. That's my
I wouldn't bet it before 3, really. But I think a lot of people forget also the early days of the PlayStation 4 generation. It wasn't made up of Sony first party stuff. It was made up of second party. It was Bloodborne from FromSoft, and it was Until Dawn, The Order, which apparently sold okay, but wasn't the best game. But my point is, they were relying heavily on second party games, and I think there's no reason why they would stop that. So this is just, I think, especially with games like Quantic Dream, making multi-platform games now. So I think they're just going to keep going out and trying to get what they can. Basically, they get all the reward for the game, but they don't have to spend all the money on owning the company's type stuff. So I think 100%. They're just trying to double down on everything that worked for them before, and we will see what happens. And that's all the topics I had for the week, boys. So unless anyone wanted to bring up something else.
No, except Justice League is fucking awesome.
John enjoyed the Justice League. Well, John, what's come to Game Pass this week? What million things have come to Game Pass this week?
Shit, what I posted in here the other day. There's like a couple of big ones. Yakuza 6 is coming this week. Yeah, I'm scrolling up. Oh, Evo. That's another one. PlayStation bought Evo. That's pretty big, I thought.
Yeah, I just know nothing about it.
Yeah,
clearly no one fucking cares here, but
yeah. It is a coup, but it's very weird that they've bought a tournament. You know what I mean? Like, It's an odd acquisition, but
well, it's in partnership with another group as well. But it's weird, like this, and then and Sony Corporation buying Crunchyroll a little while back. I think Sony are just trying to get their brand name in a whole bunch of different places. And while this is very directly related to PlayStation, it's Sony Corporation, and is going on a very weird tactic, which I don't understand what they're setting themselves up for. Like even with the VR stuff announced, and I know there were new controllers this week. Yeah, that's like they're playing a very different game to what say Xbox are. Microsoft's in everything anyway. They're more in trying to compete with say Amazon more so than Sony. But yeah, it was a weird acquisition. But I don't know enough about Evo, so I left it off.
It makes sense to me because all the biggest fighting game studios come from Japan. You know, all the biggest games that are coming out that are fighting games are from like Arc System Works, Capcom, and that's pretty much it. You know, all your Street Fighters, all your Guilty Gears, all your other like Japanese anime fighting games that are out there. Makes sense. And there's a content creator I've mentioned a few times. His name's Maximilian Dude, and he's awesome, and he's a massive fighting game supporter, and that's what his channel is basically all about, playing not only old games but supporting fighting games because it's his favorite genre, and it's like this niche thing that he's keeping alive. And he's got a massive channel, and he shines a light on all these different fighting games that I have no idea that existed. And it's a big world out there that you don't know about, really. But that's what a niche is. But it makes sense to me being in the Japan environment where all the biggest and best fighting games come out of Japan, outside of like Killer Instinct and Mortal Kombat and Injustice. You know, those are the only main Western ones that are, you know, successful. So I'm interested to see what he says about it. You know, he's got no affiliation to any of them, but he's that kind of a pillar in the community that his opinion matters. But as far as the Game Pass stuff, I just scrolled up and had a look. I mean, I don't really care for a couple of these games, but Torchlight 3, Empire of Sin, I'm interested in, and Nier Automata came out yesterday. Octopath Traveler.
What happened to the first two Torchlights? Did they go out?
Yeah. Nice one, Dan. Nice one. Pun. Had to have one today. Octopath Traveler is coming out on the 25th, as well as Yakuza 6. Those are the ones I picked out.
Octopath's quite a big deal. It was exclusive on Switch for a while.
Can I just also point out with jumping back and forward, I know with the Evo stuff, I get what you're saying, and I think Nintendo put out a thing sort of confirming that they're going to keep trying to have Smash Brothers there in these tournaments. But I think it's more of like a wait and see to see if anything changes as to whether they'll have it there. But the only thing that confuses me about that, so let's say, okay, yeah, it makes sense. It's Japan. Sony have, you know, a good stronghold or whatever there. But they also just dialed back Japan studio. Like there's only they only have one active studio there, and the rest is basically support staff for other to help other studios, like second parties and stuff like that. So it's weird to be like, well, we're gonna grab this tournament and hold on to it in Japan because we're in Japan, but then also really cut a lot of people from their own Japan studio. So that's why I'm saying it's weird to make a foothold in one spot in Japan, but then pull back in another. And that's why I'm confused about what direction they're trying to build this, you know, global Sony that they're trying to put together.
I mean, I think the narrative for Sony full stop is we're and we said this last year. I think we all agreed. We're just seeing shades of PS3 Sony. We're seeing shades of some complacency, some not knowing how to lay out their plan, and just really stupid industry moves. It was around this time in the PS3's life cycle they bought Gaikai and didn't.
Yeah,
I know we can say they did nothing with it. It eventually became, obviously the tech was rolled into PlayStation Now, which, you know, everybody knows how well that's going. Although, admittedly, I played the first half of Spider-Man on PlayStation Now and it worked fine. It just didn't look very pretty because streamed. But yeah, it's very weird Sony shenanigans. There's two pieces of like tidbit news that I've just scrolled down that I thought was worth mentioning. The first being Chunt, you said the other day, fuck Bobby Kotick.
Yes.
Fuck Bobby Kotick. Activision made record profits this last year, and have still laid off 190 people with next to no notice. And did they do it over something stupid, like via an email or a text message or something stupid like that? Like typical Activision way of doing things.
Yeah, but hold on. They also got $200 of BattleNet passes. Doesn't that make up for it?
Yeah, totally fine. Understood.
You don't work for us anymore, but please keep playing the games you built.
Yeah.
It's such a weird, like, see you later.
Yeah.
It's so fucked up for them to find out via news articles first before being told officially.
I mean, they did the exact same thing last year. Like, let's not think this is anything new.
No,
they made record profits last year as well. And just as that announcement came out, they laid off 80 or 90 people. This is worse this time. I think it's in the hundreds, isn't it? 190 staff this time. So it's a significant number of humans.
2% of their.
But yeah, Bobby
2%
Kotick
of their
is
workforce.
still, being paid millions and millions of dollars in bonus checks, and getting fat off greed. And the other thing was obviously the news that we found out just before we pushed record that Gotham Knights has been pushed to 2022. And one of the two of you called that. I'm pretty sure it was
Take
you.
a bow, Chunt.
I called that shit, and I remember Dan being like, "Nah, it sounds pretty close to going. It'll be out this year." I'm like, no.
But I have to say I agreed with that logic because we had that conversation when Hogwarts Legacy got delayed. Is that right? If that's the one that's getting delayed, we probably do still see Gotham Knights at some point this year. Is it concerning?
DC balls were tingling.
Any other year, I think people would start to be going, what's going on at Warner Brothers? They've been working on these games for a long fucking time, but you can't last year didn't exist.
Yep.
Fair to
give it a wash.
Well, there's some little bit more tidbits of news. It's been a very quiet week, I think, for all of us boys. So
yeah, as far as I'm concerned, I've got 5 more Yakuza games to go through. So keep delaying shit and give me more time. Thank you.
I was going to be playing Disco Elysium, but that got freaking.
Yeah.
Australia, come on, just let me play my games.
Well, right.
Yes, it got refused classification in Australia, Disco Elysium, so it'll get fixed up soon. I think the last few games got refused. They ended up making changes and stuff to get it in there, but
like when the South Park, the Stick of Truth,
have all the games
classification. I was so angry about that when I was living in Australia. Stick of Truth was censored. You couldn't see the anal probing scene. Like, it's a running joke in South Park, for fuck's sake. Did you ban South Park? Can you still watch that episode? Yep, but you can't play that part in the game because you actively take part in it.
Yeah. It doesn't make any sense to have the rating. The rating is there for a reason, but you're still going to give it. There's worse shit on TV.
I'm almost a 30-year-old man or young boy, and the government are telling me what I can and cannot play. Like, come on.
Fuck off.
A weird concept.
More to that point, Dan, when the fucking hell did you get to be nearly 30?
Yeah.
I want to make your voice feel a bit older.
When did that happen?
June. Yeah. It's happening in June.
Man. Goddamn. I still feel 25 some days. Even though I'm 10 years older than that.
Physically or mentally?
Mentally.
Mentally, I'm pretty sure we're all still 12.
Yeah. Well, one of my team leaders was like, "How old are you?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm 35." He goes, "Man, you're pretty jovial still. Good on you." I was like, "Well, I'm a happy guy sometimes."
It's just because you just got 50,000 views. You're going to be a bit jovial.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, Jamie. Like, is that a compliment? That's what I said to him. Like, oh, thanks, I guess. But everybody's so serious. I just laugh about shit, for fuck's sake. Whatever.
Keep laughing about stuff, and Dan, you can hand us out. Take us home.
All right, well,
country roads.
Thank you all for watching for episode 51. Thank you, Jamie. Thank you, Chunt, for being here with me, and thank you for everyone dealing with my sickness this morning. We pushed through. We got through. through another week. So thank you very much, and we will see you next week.